A new administration will bring changes in policy that could have a major impact on the U.S. economy and the nation's 33 million small businesses and their employees. While inflation is easing going into the new year and the Fed has made several recent interest rate cuts, looming tariffs, a changing regulatory landscape, and a technology upheaval driven by artificial intelligence will be a major issue in 2025. Today, I have Gene Marks, CPA, and he's a small business owner and a columnist who covers public policy, the economy, workplace, and technology. Good morning, Gene. How are you?
Hello, James. Thanks so much for having me on.
I appreciate you joining us. Now, Gene, what do you expect from the new administration? Will it be more business friendly?
Well, the National Federation of Independent Businesses recently reported that small business optimism, James, is at a 6-year high. And you mentioned there's 33 million small businesses. They contribute half to the country's GDP, half of the workers in the country. So when small businesses are feeling optimistic, that's a good side for the economy. But I hate to throw rainwater on some of that, but I am telling my clients and my readers that although we do have a relatively pro-business environment in Washington now, there are still a lot of concerns, a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles ahead of small businesses in 2025, and we have to make sure we are aware and navigating our way through them.
Now, tell us about changes to retirement, paid leave, and minimum wage that will take effect in 2025.
Sure. So first of all, on the national level, and I hope that some businesses know this because not many do. If you have a relatively new 401k plan, you are now going to be required to automatically enroll your employees in that 401k plan, and not a lot of businesses are aware of that, and that's part of a national legislation called the Secure Act. But really the story, James, is not nationally, it's local, state and local. I'm expecting the Trump administration to be pulling back on national legislation that affects everybody and pushing more to the state level, and we're already seeing that. I mean, 30 states have minimum wages higher than the national minimum wage. 70 states and local jurisdictions are increasing minimum wages this year. A number of states have higher and more regulatory rules than Washington on overtime, on paid and family and sick leave, as well as on mandatory retirement plans as well. So the story is not going to be out of D.C. because there is a relatively more pro-friendly environment there. The story is going to be at the state level. And if you're running a business, even if you're running a business, regardless of what state you're in, you have to be aware of the other states that your employees are in, your remote workers, wherever you have operations in. You have to be compliant in those states as well, and that's a real burden for a lot of businesses.
Are there any new or expiring tax code regulations to be aware of ahead of the tax season?
So yes, and James, I'm warning you, 2025 will be a tax Armageddon year. So brace yourself. 2024 is in the past, but this year we have a number of regulations that are expiring from the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. If they are allowed to expire, they could significantly increase taxes both on businesses and individuals. Small businesses, pass-throughs, partnerships would have to pay more taxes. They lose a big deduction. You won't be able to deduct for capital equipment or research and development expenses. You and I, our individual taxes, our standard deduction could be cut in half. All of that is out there and it's all in play. Now the GOP and the Trump administration, they want to either extend or make permanent a lot of these tax rules from 2017, but they have a slim majority in Congress, and their Democratic opponents rightfully asking, well, if we do that, how's this all going to be paid for? So it's going to be a lot of debate going on over the next couple of months, a lot of uncertainty. I mean, it's like 20% of our income. So stay close to your CPA or your tax advisor. I expect the clarification to be late spring, early summer. And once we get new laws in place, that's when you're going to want to take action.
Ooh, well, it sounds interesting. How will AI impact small, medium-sized businesses in 2025?
Well, you and I will need like another hour to talk about all the ways that AI will impact businesses. So let's settle in for that. But no, one big way that businesses will be impacted in 2025 will be regulations. Although I don't see the Trump administration issuing a lot of national edicts on AI, A lot of states are going to be doing that. Already in 2025, 8 states have new regulations over AI. The use of AI in recruiting and hiring and workplace management, this stuff it's biased, I mean, it's created by humans. So you got to be really careful. I expect to see a lot more states doing the same over the next few years. So even if your state does not have AI regulation, if you've got employees or operations in another state that does, that's something that you're going to have to be compliant with.
Now, what should business owners do now to be best prepared for the year ahead?
So the biggest piece of advice I have for business owners is they need to outsource. I mean, James, there is no way people can keep up with all these rules and regulations. And again, putting aside the whole business-friendly environment in Washington, we're talking about 50 different states, and localities. So you need a good CPA or an accountant to advise you on your taxes once this tax stuff gets sorted out. You need to outsource your HR and your payroll stuff. I mean, I have a lot of clients that do work with Paychex. Paychex does the payroll processing. They do HR work. They do all the compliance. They take care of all the regulations, all the paperwork. I mean, the whole goal when you're running a small business is you focus on what you do best, and then you outsource everything else so you can be as lean and mean as possible. So in this regulatory environment, this localized, state-driven regulatory environment, your best bet is to make sure you're outsourcing it to a company like a Paychex that specializes in this stuff.
Now, Gene, last but not least, where can our viewers go for more information?
So there's so many different changes in all the different states, like I mentioned. A great place to get that information is Paychex. If you go to go.paychex.com/2025, Paychex, by the way, is spelled with an X, so it's Paychex. There they'll have all the states, all the regulations, so you can see what's affecting your state and others that you do business in, as well as some advice and tips for navigating your way through that regulatory environment.
I've been speaking with Gene Marks, CPA, and been talking about the new tax season. Hopefully in this interview, when we laughed, it's not going to be the last laugh of a small business owner. Hopefully things will be okay.
There will always be something, James. We'll always keep laughing, okay?
Yeah, you got it. Gene, thank you for joining us on Morning Blend.
Thank you. I had a great time. Take care.
You too.